So far in this chapter, what we have studied, we have in the chapter 2, we have studied in the classification of businesses, business activity of businesses. We have studied, that the businesses can be classified into three categories. What are the categories that we can classify them into? First will be the primary sector, okay, which usually deals with the natural resources, the mining, cutting of trees, and preserving of natural minerals and all. That falls under the category of the primary sector. Then comes the secondary sector. Okay, the secondary sector usually deals with the manufacturing of goods and services. And then lastly we have the tertiary sector in here. Okay, tertiary sector is what we have. The tertiary sector deals with providing services to the people. Services in the sense banking, teaching, medical services, cleaning, cooking, all of these saloons and barbers, they all come under the sector of the telecommunication, internet providers, all fall under the category of the tertiary sector. Okay, now there are certain business apart from this type of classification. We are going to talk about another type of classification which depends upon the ownership of the business. Okay, we have studied already ownership of the business. The businesses depending upon the ownership have been classified into private businesses, okay, or the private sector businesses, the businesses that are owned and run by the individuals of the country. Okay, they are run by the individuals of the country. Now individuals of the country means the common people of the country. They're not involved in any government or anything. Unka khud ka business hota hai, they are doing it. And the other type of businesses that you have is the public sector businesses. Now public sector businesses means public is what? Public is nothing but the government. The government chooses the public. Okay, so the businesses that are run and owned by the government, like the RTA services there, the Ministry of Health services there, and the aerospace cannot be owned by the private individuals, right? You need to have permission from the governments and from the international government and all, and so that falls under the category of the public sector. And then you have your army, navy, air force, and you have stuff like considering what more can be considered in it. In the public sector we have the construction of roads is there. All of this falls under the category of the public sector, because the government is the one representative of the government as the public, and so they are called as the public sector businesses. There are certain businesses in a country which falls under the category of mixed economy. Okay, mixed economy, what does this mean? A country in which both the private sector as well as the public sector work hand in hand. That type of a country is said to be under the mixed economy. Now what kind of a country is said to be in mixed economy? A country wherein the private sector as well as the public sector are falling in place with each other. Okay, now private sector businesses means shop owners will be there, the bookstores, like consider if you are living in UAE, you are aware of Al Munna bookshop, you are aware of Lulu, you are aware of Al Futem, because Al Futem is owned and run by Al Futem family, right? So that's how those are the private businesses. Coming to the public sector, that is the Roads and Transport Authority, the Ministry of Health is there, Ministry of Education is there. Okay, they are providing the education. Then there is the Siva, Diva, and Siva is there. There is for Dubai, there is Diva, and there is Fiva, and whatnot is there. All of that is there. Okay, so these are the public sector businesses, whereas shops, restaurants, laundries, these are owned and run by the normal individuals of the country. So such type of countries wherein there is private sector businesses as well as the businesses that fall under the category of the public sector, those type of countries are called to be running under mixed economy, because they have economy, the economy of the country is coming. That means economy means the finances. Okay, the financial aid or the finances of a country is coming both from the private sector as well as it is coming from the public sector. That is what is called as the mixed economy. Okay, now how do the government run the public sector businesses? The government runs the public sector businesses keeping them at low cost. Okay, they'll be less expensive when compared to the other businesses, first and foremost thing. The second is to run, when they are running at low cost, how can the government run so many businesses is what we're going to talk about. Then we understand that private businesses, when they are working, private individuals, when your mom, I, and everyone are working, we earn a salary, we buy things out of it, and we are paying taxes while buying things, isn't it? In UAE, we have the VAT, which is 5%. In Saudi Arabia, we have 15% VAT. Okay, and all over the world there is taxes. These taxes are going to go to the government, and the government is going to use these taxes. Okay, the government is going to use these taxes to run all of these businesses, okay, healthily and efficiently. Okay, so the taxpayers of the country, that is the private individuals of the country, are going to pay the taxes, and those taxes, once they are paid, they will be sent over to the people. They will be once they are paid, they will be sent to the government, and the government divides it and utilizes it however they want to utilize it. Okay, an economy wherein both the private sector businesses and the public sector businesses are going hand in hand. Hand in hand means they're working efficiently without disturbing each other. Those type of countries are considered to be falling under the category of the mixed economy. Okay, now there is a particular question given. Activity 2.4 is there, and there is activity 2.5 is there. Before that activity, there is something given. In many countries, the government controls the following important industries or activities. Now there is a list of activities that is given. There is this health services, there is education is there, and defense is there. You can very well know defense is like army, navy, and all. Defense is there. Then there is public transport is there. Public transport is also there. There is water supply and electricity supply is there. Okay, these are all the businesses that are run by the government. Usually the government runs it, and so they are falling under the category of the public sector. Okay, they are falling under the category of the public sector. Now in activity 2.4, it is given for each of the example of key industries or activities listed above. So just 3 possible reasons why the government of a country might decide to own and control the industry or service. The government decides to own and provide these services to the own the industry, control the industry, is because these are the basic necessities. Okay, these are the basic needs for human survival: good education, good health, and defense, public transport, moving from one place, water and electricity. These are the basic needs for a human survival. Okay, so human survival, and so it becomes the responsibility of the government to take care of these basic needs of the country's individuals. That is the first thing. The second thing is, the second reason can be that, you know, if a private sector business is going to, if anyone from the private sector is running this business, they may run, because transport, let's say transport is cheaper in metros. Okay, if some Al Futtaim takes over the transport, Al Futtaim is taking over the transport from the government of Dubai. So what's going to happen, because Al Futtaim is oriented for earning profits, he will increase the he'll make it expensive. Okay, he'll make it expensive, and he will increase the prices of the per trip charges of the metro. So that way, to increase his profits, he'll make it expensive. He wants it to be expensive so that his profits can increase. But whereas the government sees that they should be sold to all the individuals, irrespective of whether they are poor or rich. The government sees that all of these things should be given to each and everyone, irrespective of whether they are poor or not, poor or rich, whether they are healthy or not. But if in case any individual requires it, he should be able to afford it, is what the government sees. So these things needs to be under the control of the government itself. If in case these are not in the control of the government, then the basic needs and necessities of the human individuals of the country will not be met, and they will be so there will be difference. There will be problems in the survival of that individual, of the individuals of the country then. So now going to revising this activity to activity 2.4, we understand that the government takes up these particular services in its control, because these are the basic human needs and wants of human needs for survival, and they should be available for all the individuals of the country, irrespective of their financial status, irrespective of their religion, irrespective of their education and caste. Okay, that's the first thing. The second thing, second reason that the government keeps it under its control is the government wants to provide services to all the individuals. So it sets the prices in such a way that even the poorest person of the country can be able to avail the services. Okay, the government in most countries provides health, education, defense is anyways free. Health, education, water and electricity free to the people who are below poverty line. Okay, so to provide free education and services, and the aim here of the government is to provide service. It is not to earn any profits. They are not looking for profits, but they are looking to provide services to the people. So that is the reason, to provide service to the individuals of the country, the government takes it under its control. Okay, now in the activity 2.5, it is said that, it is spoken that, find out whether in your own country the government owns and controls the following businesses. So it's, I am from India and I have stayed in UAE for the past 10 years, so I'll be talking about the India and UAE in particular for the services. The first service listed down is for the railway. Okay, yes, in India the railway system is under the control of the government, whereas in UAE also the metros and the Etihad rail and everything is under the control. The roads and transport authority is there. The transport system is under the control of the government itself. Okay, so this is for the government thing. The second thing mentioned to me is local bus services. Again, in India as well as in UAE, the bus services are under the control of the government itself. Okay, then the third one is the water supply. Water supply, anyways, it is going to be under the control of the government itself, because water is a sacred resource that we have. Okay, it is not available in plenty. Okay, and so the government sees that each and every individual gets an equal amount and equal area, equal quantity of the water has been supplied to each and every individual. Coming to the D1, which is electricity. Electricity is also under the control of the government. Power supplies. Okay, because power generation is a very big task. It is generated and distributed by the government. Charges are paid to the government and everything. TV and radios. TV and radio has been falls under the category of the private sector, because this is not a basic need or necessity for living. This is just an entertainment source, and so in both the countries, India and UAE, they are out in the private sector. They are out in the private sector. Then you have lastly the last one, which is the hospitals. There are most of the hospitals in UAE are under the control of the government again. Okay, and India as well, but there are other private hospitals also. So if you're talking about the only if there are any hospitals in the government in UAE, yes, there are few hospitals in India and UAE which are under the control of the government, that like Ministry of Health, and they are concerned with providing all the medical and health facilities to all the individuals. Okay, now talking about the last thing, we have the mixed economies and recent changes. There have been a lot of recent changes in the recent past with respect to the mixed economies. Okay, so going again to the mixed economies. Okay, now in some countries, if we consider, the government is not able, the government has what did I tell you? The economy is mixed economy, is wherein the public sector is also there, that is run by the government, and there is the private sector acting as well. Okay, operating efficiently. Now public sector businesses, you are already aware of it, which is the health system, the education system, the roads and transport system is there, and then you have the water, electricity is there, defense is there. All of this falls under the category of the public sector. But in the recent times, the government has sold the businesses from the public sector to the private individuals, because at times the government sees that because government is not able to make profits, the government is not able to make better profits out of it. Now profit is not like billions profit, they want little bit of money to keep it running. Okay, is what they want. Okay, so government sees that the government is incapable. Okay, the government is incapable to provide services to the people. Maybe the government is falling short of money, then the government sells some businesses, okay, from the public sector to the private sector or private individuals, common people of the country. Then that is called as, this particular thing, the selling of the public sector business to the private individual, is called as privatization. What is it called as? It is called as privatization. Okay, why does the government do this privatization? Because the government sees that we are not able to run it properly, efficiently, or maybe it is taking a lot of trouble for the, it is becoming a lot of trouble for the government. The country is too big, the government is not able to provide all the facilities to its individuals. Then what does the government do? They privatize some of the businesses. So in consideration over here, if we consider in Europe and Asian countries, the water, electricity and public transport systems have been privatized. What they have been done, they have been privatized. In India, if you see, the telecommunication, okay, has been privatized to the Ambanis, okay, to the Ambanis. They have been privatized. That means the telecommunication was under the control of the government. Later it sold the telecommunication system to a private company or a private individual who is not involved in government at all, okay. And why does the government do so? Okay, now when the government is doing so, it's because they want to provide better services. When privatization is done, there are both advantages and disadvantages to it. Let's consider the advantages to it. The first advantage is government, specifically India, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, all of these developing countries, if we consider, the government services provided will be really third class, low quality services will be provided, okay. So when it is going from the public sector to a private sector, when you go to a public hospital, the hospital will be dirty, stinky, because most people are coming for free and they are being treated, they're lying down there and all. There's not much of regulations and rules, so it will be not that appealing as we compare to an privatized hospital or private hospital. So better facilities can be provided because government has little money, so it will not be able to provide all that facilities. So when it has become privatized, the privatization has taken place, so hospitals can be better because this person is having a lot of money, he can put some better facilities, and he can make it neat and tidy and hire more people and all. So better facilities can be provided. Once he is providing better facilities, the first disadvantage will start. Because he has invested money into it, he will look for profits. He have invested, he have put in some capital in here, and he will be looking to get the profit out of it. To earn the profits, he will increase the costs, isn't it? The cost of the facility will be increased. Maybe to give an injection, it was 0 rupees in a government hospital. Since it has privatized, this is in the government hospital, in the public sector. Okay, now since it has been privatized, what's going to happen? The injection charges will be rupees 20 because it has been privatized. It has undergone the privatization. Understand, that is there. Now second of all, the advantages of it is that they want, because they will try to provide services, they might try to provide services to all the people. So they will even develop in the rural areas. So the second disadvantage is that since he is looking for earning the profits, he might remove the businesses. There are chances, this is a 50% chance, and the other 50% is he might not provide that particular service in the rural, and he will only provide it in the urban areas, because urban areas means people are earning well, they'll be able to pay him all of these charges and all, and he will be able to make profits out of it. So anything, if you consider, it will have both advantages and disadvantages, okay. So, privatization is going to make it easy for the government to provide all the services that they want to, but on the other hand, the services may become expensive. The services may not be provided in all the parts of the country, which will be difficulty for the people living in the rural or the villages and the countryside of the country. It will be difficult for those people to get these services. So, anyways, when we see there is one advantage, there is a disadvantage as well, is what we see in here. Okay. Okay, then lastly, so we have understood all of these things. So whenever there is privatization happening, there is advantages as well as disadvantages. Now going to the activity 2.6, the last activity of this particular chapter, it says that your government is considering the privatization of your country's postal service. Postal services like Emirates Post that we have in Dubai, and I'm pretty sure all the countries have the postal services. So India also has a postal service which is under the control of the government. Okay, you decide to write the government minister in charge explaining your views on this matter and stating your opinion. Your letter should contain an explanation of the difference between private sector businesses, public sector businesses, the possible benefits of the postal services being in the private sector, the possible disadvantages of the postal service being in the private sector, your recommendation to the minister on whether to keep the postal service in public sector or not. I would suggest the postal services should be in, should be in the control of the government itself, because as far as a particular service is under the control of the government, it will be cheaper. Okay, and the government aims to provide service. The government is not considered about earning profits. It is only always considered about providing services to the people. So they will keep the prices lower. That will be the first thing. It will try to provide services to all the people. Okay, and it will not just provide services in the urban areas, but it will also cover the rural areas. All of these areas will be covered by the government because they want to cover all the population irrespective of anything. Okay, now if in case the government still decides to put this postal service privatized. Okay, privatized means they want to sell it and put it into the private sector of the country. Then this privatization may make the postal service a much faster one, because we are going to pay more towards it, and so the cost will increase. The cost of the postal service will increase, but it will become faster as well. Okay, because the government post takes a little longer. Now it is quite very fast, but not in the past. In the recent past it was not. So it will become a little faster, and the handling charges and all will be there in here. Now handling charges, when I'm talking about, so if there is any expensive thing and all, the government does not take charge of it, because there are a lot of things when it is under the government sector. Many people are sending and receiving things to the postal services, so it is going to be really too much of crowd will be there for the services, right? But when it gets privatized, it's become costly, okay, faster, and so the handling charges will be added towards it, and it will give advantage to your products or services, whatever you're sending and whatever the things that you're trying to post through, they will be taken care of. Okay, that was what I feel. And there are chances that the private business do not want to provide these services in either the urban areas or in the or in the rural areas. Urban areas, why? Because there is a lot of delivery services available. You can send it through post, no need of post, they may think, or they may withdraw it from the rural areas thinking that there is not much of educated population, so why do they need to post things from one place to other. These can be the possible advantages and disadvantages. You need to write everything from your own. It's just that as you're writing an English composition about a particular service, that is what you're supposed to write it down. Such kind of questions, write an explanation of all of these things, will not be asked to you. They will just ask you advantages. They'll give you a scenario and ask you to write down the advantages and disadvantages of the same. In the next video, I'll be covering the questions of this particular chapter, the chapter end questions.